In the mountains of Romania, there is an abandoned tunnel. Local residents have avoided this place for decades. They call it simply the Black Descent. Even during the day, people try not to stay near these mountains for too long. The road near the old entrance has long been covered with grass. The light poles are rusting in the fog, and the concrete structures look as if they were abandoned in complete panic. According to official records, the tunnel construction began in 1972. It was supposed to become part of a massive underground transportation system connecting remote mountain regions. The project was funded by the government. At the time, it was considered one of the most ambitious engineering projects in the country. The tunnels were meant to transport heavy equipment, fuel, and cargo through the mountains. Construction continued for nearly 2 years. Every day, hundreds of workers descended underground. At first, everything went smoothly. Engineers regularly submitted reports showing rapid progress. The tunnel continued expanding deeper into the mountain, but eventually, things began to change. Workers started complaining about strange sounds underground. Some claimed they could hear metallic banging echoing through the darkness. Others reported seeing human-like silhouettes standing in distant corridors. Whenever they pointed their flashlights toward them, nothing was there anymore. Management dismissed the stories as stress and exhaustion. However, only a few weeks later, one of the workers disappeared without a trace. His helmet was found near a narrow passage over 2 kilometers underground. A flashlight was lying beside it. It was still turned on. The man himself was never found. A search team inspected the entire sector. There were no footprints, no blood, no signs of a collapse. It was as if he had simply vanished into the darkness. After that incident, the atmosphere among the workers changed completely. People became terrified of the lower sections of the tunnel. Several workers quit that same week. One of them later claimed he had heard footsteps underground. Not human footsteps. According to him, the sound moved unnaturally fast, as if something was running through the darkness between the corridors. Another worker reported seeing movement in one of the deeper tunnels. At first, he thought it was another employee. But the figure was far too tall, and the way it moved looked unnatural. A month later, another incident occurred. The power suddenly shut down in one of the underground sectors. When the emergency crew descended into the darkness, they found tools scattered across the corridor. Long scratches covered the concrete walls, as if someone had dragged metal claws across the surface. One of the technicians later said he heard heavy breathing directly behind him. But when he turned around, the corridor was completely empty. After that, several sectors were ordered to shut down temporarily, but construction still continued. The project was far too expensive to abandon completely. A few days later, a drilling crew broke through part of a concrete wall deep underground. Behind it, they discovered another tunnel, one that did not appear on any blueprint. The corridor extended downward at a strange angle. Cold air was flowing from inside. One of the workers said he smelled something rotten coming from the darkness. Management ordered the passage to be sealed immediately, but the following morning, the metal gate blocking the corridor had somehow been opened. No one knew who had done it. That same day, 2 more workers disappeared. After that, the project was permanently shut down. The entrance was sealed with concrete. The documents were classified, and local residents were warned to stay away from the area. Years passed. Eventually, the story became nothing more than a local legend. People claimed that during the night, strange metallic noises could still be heard coming from the mountains, as if something deep underground was striking old pipes in the darkness. Some even claimed they had seen lights moving inside the tunnel, even though the electricity had been disconnected decades earlier. Most people dismissed the stories as myths. But in 2023, 4 young explorers running a channel about abandoned places decided to investigate the legend themselves. They were searching for a new location to film. One of the local residents told them about the Black Descent. At first, They did not take the story seriously. But then an elderly man showed them old photographs from the construction site. In one of the pictures, there was a strange black opening in the wall of the tunnel. It looked far deeper than it should have been, as if the corridor continued far beyond the original construction zone. The old man remained silent for a long time. Then he said only one sentence: "You should never go down there." The following evening, the group headed into the mountains. They filmed everything on camera. At first, the expedition felt like a normal urban exploration trip. Abandoned rails, rusty pipes, flooded rooms, old helmets scattered across the floor. One of the explorers joked that the place looked like something straight out of a horror movie. Another replied that the tunnel was far too large for a simple transportation project. They laughed, but the deeper they descended, the quieter the tunnel became. Even the sound of dripping water slowly disappeared. The air began to feel heavier. One of the explorers admitted he suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if someone was watching them from the darkness. At one point, the camera captured a metallic bang echoing somewhere ahead. Everyone immediately stopped walking. One of the boys assumed it was simply falling debris, so they continued moving forward. A few minutes later, they discovered a set of old metal doors. They were partially open. A faded warning sign was still visible on the surface. Sector 4, the paint had almost completely peeled away. As soon as they entered the room, their radio signal started cutting out. The voices in their headsets were replaced with loud static. One of the explorers laughed nervously, but the others had already gone silent. Inside the room stood several old metal beds. Deep scratches covered the walls, as if someone had desperately tried to escape. In the far corner of the room, there was an old flashlight lying on the floor. It was still turned on, even though its batteries should have died years ago. Suddenly, a loud metallic slam echoed behind them. The doors had closed by themselves. The camera violently shook. One of the explorers immediately ran toward the exit. The doors would not move. Then they heard it. Slow footsteps coming from the dark corridor outside the room. Something was approaching them. Their flashlights began flickering violently. The camera captured only a dark silhouette standing at the far end of the tunnel. It was far too tall to be human, and it remained completely motionless.